Welcome to New York, Lower Manhattan. The Red Sox and the Yankees begin a four-game series from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Well, the Yankees certainly a lot riding on this series and the remainder of their games the rest of the year. Right now on top of the AL wildcard scenario, 4 games back in the American League East behind the Toronto Blue Jays. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo, as always joined by Jerry Remy. Welcome to Red Sox baseball. Well, the Red Sox, fantastic weekend against the Baltimore Orioles, and tough to be better than the pitching was for the Red Sox.
You know, it's hard to believe that there was a day when Red Sox history when they said you couldn't throw left-handers at Fenway Park. Well, that changed over the weekend for sure. They started Rich Hill on Friday, Craig Breslow on Saturday, and Henry Owens on Sunday. And look at the results that they got. A 2-0 record from the starters, an ERA of 0 in 20.2 innings, 7 hits, 4 walks, 17 strikeouts, and opponents hit 101 to the Baltimore Orioles. That's the first sweep of a 3-game series with 3 shutout wins since 1958. And in 1958, Don, that's when they were saying you couldn't throw left-handers at Fenway Park. That all changed. Another left-handed side, Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Red Sox against the Yankees.
Well, the Red Sox and Yankees certainly means more for the Yankees, but should be a fun series anyway. The first of 4, the Empire State Building in New York. We're back with the first pitch right after this. Experience a new Audi A3 today. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. Toyota's website for deals by Toyota.com. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of your Boston Red Sox. Uno's committed to the craft of pizza since 1943. The Kia Sorrento. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at Southwest.com. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx as we get ready for Game 1 of this 4-game series. Before we get it started, let's send it down to field level at Garen Austin. Garen?
Thanks, Don. Interim manager Torey Lovello said that Rusney Castillo is out of the lineup tonight with an upper right quad strain, and that Mookie Betts back in center field is just part of a plan.
I felt like I didn't want to let center field get too far away from Mookie, so I was going to sprinkle him into center field from time to time. I hadn't quite drawn up the exact playbook or the soft template, but I knew that I wanted to give him some looks in center field. Now, I had to combine that too with Rusney, who's got an upper right quad strain. that kind of played into this as well. Rusney's just had a day off. He's been going hard and just developed a little bit of fatigue and tenderness in that area. And I thought, you know what, let's get ahead of it, give him a day off today and see where we're at tomorrow. So he could play today, emergency only today. Just made a lot of sense to me at this point in time to make that move happen. When was it supposed to happen? I wasn't sure. I just wanted to make sure that center field did not get too far away from Mookie.
Well, throw out the first pitch. El Duque here tonight from Yankee Stadium, as a little different delivery than what we remember in years past for El Duque, but honored here by the Yankees prior to the ball game, and throwing out the first pitch to the catcher John Ryan Murphy. Now, the Yankees have taken the field tonight, so let's check out the Red Sox starting lineup. It's brought to you by your Eastern Hyundai dealers. Leading it off and in center field, as Torey Lovullo mentioned, Mookie Betts back there in center with Dustin Pedroia at second base batting second. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop bats third with Travis Shaw at first base. Brock Holt in right field bats fifth with David Ortiz out of the lineup tonight. It is Alan Craig DHing and getting his second straight start. He bats sixth with Blake Swihart doing the catching. Devin Marrero back at third base bats eighth, and Jackie Bradley Jr. in left field rounds out the starting nine. The Yankees starting pitcher presented by your New England Nissan dealers. Ivan Nova gets his 16th start. Comes in at 6-9 with a decision in every outing so far. 4.87 ERA, 52 strikeouts to 28 walks, and opponents hitting at .264 against Nova. A loss last time out against the Blue Jays in that big series in Toronto. He went 5 2/3 pitch well, gave up just the one run, but took the loss, struck out 6 along the way.
The Yankees defense is brought to you by DraftKings, and they are 10th in the American League with 90 errors on the season. Chase Headley will be at third base, Didi Gregorius the shortstop, Rob Refsnyder at second, and Greg Bird the first baseman. Left to right, Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Carlos Beltran, and John Ryan Murphy doing the catching for Nova.
The umpiring crew tonight, Tim Timmons has got the play calling the balls and strikes with Mike Everett at first base. The crew chief, Tim Welke, at second base, and Todd Titchener is the umpire at third. Where available, this telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your television remote. Enjoy the game.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Well, the conditions tonight pretty good. 75 degrees at the ballpark. Breeze out to left at 6 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy, the forecast here tonight, but very comfortable conditions at the ballpark as the Red Sox and Yankees renew acquaintances tonight in the Bronx. Mookie Betts standing in on the right side. Nova ready with the first pitch of the ball game. And that is in there for strike one, and we're underway. Mookie hitting at .291 with 15 homers and 72 runs batted in. Outfield straight away here for the Yankees as Betts with a swing and a miss down 0-2. Well, the Yankees coming in at 86-69, starting the game 4 games back of the Blue Jays. Here's a drive out towards left center field. On the run is Brett Gardner, still going, and he's not going to get this. Jumps up and over into the bullpen. A ground rule double out there for Mookie Betts. And a good start to the first inning for the Red Sox.
Yeah, real bad 0-2 pitch that time by Nova. He just leaves a breaking ball out over the plate, and Betts drives it a long way to left center field. You see both Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury chasing it, but it's going to bounce up into the bullpen area for the ground rule double. So Betts now 3 for 7 in his career with a home run against Nova.
That's second base to get it started here as Dustin Pedroia stands in on the right side. From the stretch now is Nova. And it's on the ground to shortstop. Gregorius took a look at third, but goes to first for the out. And getting to third was Betts on the ground out for Pedroia.
That's a good read by Mookie Betts right there, because the ball's directly at him and he knows exactly where Gregorius is playing. You have to know that as a base runner at second base. And if it's hit at you like that, then you can go, because you're going to be blocking that third baseman. So Gregorius has no other play but to go to first base. Yankees pull the infield in here in the first inning.
There's Xander Bogaerts. Xander starting the game hitting at .324, and that average second best in the American League heading into tonight's game. As a pitch in the dirt, and a nice play there by Murphy, sprawling to his right, saving a run.
That's a tough play there. That was a breaking ball, a real bad breaking ball by Nova, and John Ryan Murphy had a long way to go to stop this one. That ball didn't bounce back like it normally does on a curveball either.
You see that infield right at the lip of the grass all the way around here for the Yankees in the first inning. As Bogaerts grounds to third base, Headley's coming home, and the throw is going to be in time. Thrown out at the plate is Betts. Having a leap for that throw is John Ryan Murphy, but he comes down and applies the tag to get the lead runner in Betts for the second out.
Now, it's a little bit of a high throw by Chase Headley, and I'm a little surprised the Red Sox were playing contact this early in the ball game. Little tap down to third base, to high throw, but the catcher John Ryan Murphy's able to get back down in time to kind of block Mookie Betts from getting to home plate.
And that is the question. I think that's what Torey Lovullo was arguing out there, that he may have been impeding his path to the plate.
I don't think so, Don, because he had to jump to catch that ball, and when he comes down, that's where he landed.
Torey out there now talking to home plate umpire Tim Timmons. If you have the ball, you can be in the baseline. If you don't, you can't.
Exactly, and he had to jump to catch the ball, and when he came down, to me, he came directly down where he caught it, and that happened to be in the baseline, blocking Mookie Betts. So I think that's a good play.
So 2 down, Bogaerts at first base on the fielder's choice. And a big out there for Nova and the Yankees here in the first inning. Now Travis Shaw batting out of the cleanup spot. Shaw will take strike one.
And Nova's been struggling his last 6 starts. He's 1-5 with a 7.31 ERA. 0-2 this year against the Red Sox.
And the rest of the games here for New York, like playoff games, he'll have a short leash at this stage of the season for New York. The one pitch is going to miss low, and it's 1-1. See Joe Girardi managing a little bit different this time of year with what's at stake right now. Yankees had some huge games against Toronto, and again tonight begin the night 4 games back. They are the leader in the wild card race right now, but certainly the Yankees don't want to have a scenario where they play a 1-game playoff in that wild card matchup. Really rolling the dice. The Blue Jays have been so good. And they could clinch a postseason berth tonight if they beat the Red Sox, A's beat the Angels, Tigers beat the Rangers, and the Indians defeat the Twins. So there's a couple things that need to happen.
That's very confusing. A lot of things have to happen tonight.
Swing and a miss. How are we going to keep track of all that?
Why don't we just say if they win 2 more games, they're going to win the wild card?
That's very good.
I think we can narrow it down to that.
I'm really going to keep my eye on the scoreboard now, though, after seeing all that.
Yeah.
And here's the breakdown for Nova, his pitch arsenal. Runner goes. Shaw takes a ball low. Here's a throw, and safe at second base. Xander Bogaerts stealing second base. That first slide for Bogaerts.
Yankees may challenge this as Girardi is looking in now to see if it is worth a challenge.
And it might be.
There's the head first slide. Does the hand get in before the tag? Tough to tell from that angle right there. They are going to look at it.
Yep. Yankees challenging here. Tag on the back. Question is, where's the hand? Second base umpire, the crew chief Tim Welke, made the safe call. Now the Yankees are challenging that. See if it is overturned. Crowd thinks so after seeing the big board here in center field. And I do think he's out, Jerry, after seeing this on the big board here.
Yeah, that's a good shot right there, and it does appear that Bogaerts is going to be called out. The tag was down around the hip area, but the hand was not in yet.
And they have overturned it. So Xander Bogaerts thrown out at second base, caught stealing down the top of the first. Yankees are coming up. First inning, Yankees coming up in the bottom of the first inning. Yankees lineup is brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. Jacoby Ellsbury at the top of that Yankees order in center field with Brett Gardner in left. Alex Rodriguez, the DH, bats third with Carlos Beltran in right field. Chase Headley at third base with Greg Bird at first. John Ryan Murphy does the catching with Didi Gregorius at short. And Rob Refsnyder is at second base batting ninth. So leading it off here, Jacoby Ellsbury. Been struggling for the most part here for New York. As Ellsbury takes a pitch up top. Red Sox starting pitcher presented by your local New England Audi dealers. 21st start for Eduardo Rodriguez. 9-6. Search of that elusive 10th win of the year. 3.97 ERA. There's a fly ball out to left field. Bradley Jr. racing back, and he's not going to get there. One hops up into the crowd. A ground rule double for Jacoby Ellsbury.
For whatever reason, Ellsbury, who has struggled, has had very good success against Rodriguez. 5 for 10 now with a couple of home runs. This ball hit very well to the opposite field, up over the head of Jackie Bradley Jr. And up into the stands for the ground rule double. So both teams start the game with ground rule doubles. The Red Sox with Betts, and now Ellsbury for the Yankees.
So Ellsbury in scoring position at second base, and it brings up Brett Gardner. Hitting at 260 with 16 home runs, 65 runs batted in. Trying to bunt, pops it up, and it's going to drop harmlessly out of the reach of Blake Swihart. A-Rod was in the way initially, a couple of bats back there in the on-deck circle area.
It looks like Rodriguez went to pick up the extra bat, the weighted bat. That's just a bad angle of the bat right there by Gardner on the bunt attempt. He was underneath the baseball. That's why he popped it up, and he sees Swihart trying to get there, but the ball was not up high enough.
So another chance here for Gardner. 0-1 the count. Bunting again and drops it back towards the mound. It's going to be Shaw, goes to first. As covering is Pedroia. A sacrifice here as Ellsbury takes third.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They're 11th in the American League with 94 errors on the season. Devin Marrero at third base. Xander Bogaerts the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. Travis Shaw the first baseman. Left to right, Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts, and Brock Holt. And Blake Swihart doing the catching for Rodriguez.
So Ellsbury taking third base, one down here in the first inning. It brings up Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod will take ball one. He's the DH in tonight's game. Over 30 home runs this year for A-Rod in his return. 32 home runs to be exact. 84 RBIs. Missing down and in. Six home runs in the last 22 games for A-Rod. Reaches out and lifts a fly ball down the right field line. Holt over towards the corner, and Brock will make the catch. Plenty deep enough for Ellsbury to jog on home for the game's first run as the Yankees take a 1-0 lead. The sac fly by Alex Rodriguez.
A pretty good job by Rodriguez. He gets a changeup that time and just kind of flips it deep enough out to right field to get the job done. That's a good pitch by Eduardo Rodriguez. And good hitting by Alex Rodriguez. As Ellsbury comes across the plate with the first run.
So two down, bases empty, and Carlos Beltran will take a look at ball one. Eduardo missing there at 97 miles an hour. Beltran at 275, 18 homers and 63 runs batted in. A-Rod getting the job done, picking up his 85th RBI in the process and giving the Yankees a 1-0 advantage. Now taking it the other way is Beltran into right field for a base hit. Two-out single for Carlos Beltran. Now Eduardo's got to deal with Chase Headley. .263 average, 11 home runs, and 62 runs batted in for Headley. Yankees here over the weekend, beating the White Sox yesterday 6-1 in the finale. And tonight marks the first of 4 between the Red Sox and the Yankees for the final series of the year for the Red Sox on the road in Cleveland. That's in there for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Good velocity shown in this first inning by Eduardo Rodriguez, 95-97 with the fastball.
So the Arsenal for him, mostly fastball, 71% of the time. Two and one with a 2.45 earned run average in 3 starts against New York. And the first Red Sox left-hander to beat the Yankees twice in a season since Billy Rohr, as Rohr did it back in 1967. Red Sox starting their 5th straight left-handed pitcher. And boy, did it work out in the weekend series against the O's. 2-2 is lined to left field, a base hit. Beltran will take second base. That's the 3rd hit now collected of the inning for the Yankees.
Now, there has been some good solid contact here in the first inning by the Yankees, and we saw Beltran take a fastball to the opposite field. Now we see a changeup pulled by Headley. So first and second situation with the 2 outs. There's the off-speed pitch that's going to have Headley out in front a little bit, but he does get the barrel of the bat on it and slops it into left field for the base hit.
First and second, 2 down. A run in for the Yankees. Greg Bird coming up here, the first baseman. 250, 10 homers, 29 runs batted in for Bird. Bird has been getting the bulk of the time here at first base in the absence of Mark Teixeira. And 8 September home runs for Bird, who has 10 on the year. 2-0. Total of 10 home runs in his first 38 major league games. Third most by Yankee in franchise history in that time period. 11 for Shane Spencer. Kevin Moss back in 1990 at 13 in 38 games. As he blast onto the scene, but really never kept it going after that. Bird fouls it back as Eduardo battles back here. 2-2. Carlos Beltran at second base. Headley at first. On deck, John Ryan Murphy. Yankees batting here in the bottom of the first inning. Two and a swing and a miss. Eduardo Rodriguez strikes out Greg Bird and ends the inning. The Yankees take a 1-0 lead through 1. season in their 156th game. The Red Sox beat the Yankees 6-4. Fred Lynn went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored for the Red Sox. Bobby Bacala from the Sopranos in the house here. 1-0 Yankees have the lead over the Red Sox. Travis Shaw, Brock Holt, and Alan Craig. I miss the Sopranos, Jerry. It's been a long time.
That was a great show, yeah. It's one of those, you can't wait till it comes on.
Now Travis Shaw bunting at it and fouling it off. Into the shift here on the right side for Shaw. I've seen a lot of teams do this now. As more scouts get a chance to see Travis Shaw on a regular basis, the advanced scouting reports. Frank should foul off to the left out of play. I've talked about it a lot. It's kind of interesting to see what happens with Travis Shaw. You look ahead to next year, whether they make Hanley Ramirez the regular first baseman, whether Shaw's in the plans. He's certainly made a case for himself. He's been so good and so powerful. 11 home runs since joining the Red Sox, and his numbers at home off the charts, but looks like a viable candidate.
Yeah, and he's done a very decent job defensively over at first base, too.
He has a chance to play on an everyday basis, really, since the trade of Mike Napoli. Ground ball foul outside of first. Outfield straight away here for the Yankees. Shaw leading it off in the second inning. Swings of the 2-2 and through the shift into right center field. A base hit for Travis Shaw. Red Sox have the lead runner on for the second time tonight.
As Shaw had been 0 for his last 16 before that base hit. It looked like it might have been a high changeup that time from Nova. That stays away from Shaw and he hooks it. And hooks it right back up the middle where he feeds the shift. So that ends the 0 for 16 for Travis Shaw.
On board here at first base, held on by Greg Bird. Here is Brock Holt, batting 5th in the Red Sox order tonight and getting the start in right field. There's a strike to Holt. 284 to start the day for Brock. He's had a tough time against the Yankees lately. Against the Yankees in the season series, 4 for 37. Slices this one foul off to the left, and it's 0-2.
Now you see Brock Holt playing just about everywhere this year. Second base, third base. Then you go to the outfield, right, left, shortstop, first base, and center field a couple of games. No errors committed in any of the games in the outfield. And, of course, tonight in right field for the Red Sox.
Holt fouls it back, and we'll do it again, 0-2. Alan Craig waiting on deck here. Nobody out in the second inning. Outside, and it's 1-2. A single by Travis Shaw to begin things here in the second inning. Held on at first base by Greg Bird as Holt waits on a 1-2 pitch. Fly ball left field, sending Brett Gardner back, headed towards the warning track and onto it to make the catch. Back to first goes Shaw as Brock Holt gives it a ride to left, but he is out number 1 of the inning. Now follow the Red Sox for the rest of the season with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet today. 1 on, 1 out here in the Red Sox second inning, and it brings up Alan Craig. Back-to-back starts for Alan Craig. 143 average, a home run, 3 runs batted in. He's now hit safely in each of his last 3 games. Got the arms out of the way, but it's a strike call by Tim Timmons. Craig starting at first base yesterday. Today the DH.
Borderline at best, up and in.
On the ground and over the glove of Nova. Refsnyder will go to first base, the only play he had. And he gets Craig as Shaw moves into scoring position with now 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, Craig does not run very well, so it gave Refsnyder a chance to go to first base to get the out. But with the out, the Red Sox get a man in a scoring position at second base. Big hop over the head of Nova. A nice control play by Refsnyder to make that to get that out at first base. Got the benefit of a bounce that came up into his glove. And from a very difficult angle throws a strike to first base.
So 2 down, Shaw at second, and it brings up Blake Swihart, Red Sox catcher, batting out of the 7 spot. And a strike called on that outside corner. I think 269 with 3 homers and 26 runs batted in. A quiet homestand offensively, going 2 for 14 on the homestand. Swing and a miss, has him down 0-2.
Back-to-back breaking balls from Nova. One picking up the outside corner, barely picking up the outside corner for a call strike. Then a much better curveball that time, bouncing it. And the swing by Swihart.
Swing and a miss, and Swihart strikes out to end the inning. Red Sox leave Shaw at second base. Yankees have a 1-0 lead. The Globies presented by Mercedes-Benz. The guest list that includes Doug Flutie, Taylor Twellman, and many more. The Globies is gearing up to be the biggest night in local sports. Tickets start at $75. Buy yours now at bostonglobe.com/Globies. That's on to the bottom of the second inning back at Yankee Stadium. 1-0. Yankees have the lead. Eduardo Rodriguez giving up the run in the first. Yankees stranding 2. And Rodriguez having to throw 21 first inning pitches. John Ryan Murphy leading it off here. Bottom third for the Yankees in the order. Rodriguez jumping ahead here 0-2, and Murphy with a question for Tim Timmons. Is that how low we're going to go? It's 0-2. A little lower that time.
A different pitch that time. That time the slider from Rodriguez. Missing down and out of the strike zone. Murphy able to stay off it.
Fouls the 2-2 straight back. A pitch it was up.
More of a cut fastball on time from Rodriguez. Don't see that very often from him. Stays up in the zone. I'd like to try that, get that down around the ankles.
Chopped up over the mound, up the middle, and into center field. A base hit, well placed for John Ryan Murphy. That was the 4th hit of the night for New York, and the 2nd straight inning they've had the lead runner on. For every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings or the Sox get a save, CVS Pharmacy will make a donation to Children's Hospital towards a $25,000 commitment once again this season. CVS Pharmacy, the official pharmacy of the Boston Red Sox. Lead runner on here in the 2nd inning brings up Didi Gregorius. 267 with 9 home runs. 54 runs batted in. Bunt bid, and he pops it up to Marrero at third. So I've seen a few bad attempts at bunts here for the Yankees. The most recent for Didi Gregorius.
That was awful. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to drop it down the third base line and sacrifice. Whatever he's trying to do was terrible. I mean, look at the barrel of the bat. It's almost on the ground.
That was not exactly how you would teach it.
No, I think he was bunting for a base hit down. I don't think he was sacrificing there. I think he was just trying to drop one down the third base line, and that was not a very good effort at all.
So 1 out Murphy at first. Here is Rob Refsnyder. Takes a pitch and runs inside. This time called the ball at 95 miles an hour. 261 with a home run. 2 runs batted in. Second stint this year with New York. Was up in the middle of July the first time. Comes back as a September call-up for the Yankees. Hit a 271 this year, AAA, 117 games with Scranton Wilkes-Barre. 9 homers, 56 runs batted in the International League.
Two balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Certainly a hit and run count. Good thing they didn't. They got a changeup that was way up and out of the strike zone.
Three balls, 1 strike, 1 out here in the second inning. Refsnyder fouls it back, and it's a full count. You see the number 8 on the Yankees sleeve and also on the field here. The late Yogi Berra. We'll see Yogi Berra anytime we were here, generally be at the stadium. And of course, the incredible resume. You hear about all his sayings, things he said over the years, but that's a pretty impressive career. Payoff pitch. On the ground right side. Pedroia on the high hop was the second for one, and it's dropped there, but it's dropped on the transfer. So there is an out at second base. Indication there by Tim Wilkie right away that Xander dropped it on the transfer, so 2 down.
Yeah, Bogart's trying to rush at second base because the ball was hit to the left of Dustin Pedroia, so that tells you right away that it's going to be close at first base. But Pedroia gets it there, but on the transfer after catching the ball, there's the catch, and on the transfer the ball comes out. So they do get the out at second base, but they don't get the double play.
Top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury now with the chance, but first kind of flipping it over to first base was Rodriguez, and Refsnyder back to the bag.
You're talking about Yogi Berra, and there was a time that he stayed away from Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
Because he was having a run-in with George Steinbrenner and would not come to the ballpark.
For a number of years, I think. It went on a while. Yeah. Didn't go as they check with Todd Tichenor, third base umpire. I said last week after he had passed and we talked about it, I had, to be honest with you, no idea how good a player he was.
Yeah, I was shocked too by some of the numbers. I knew he was a great player, but I didn't realize the MVPs and all of that stuff. I mean, incredible. Think of some of the guys that he played with too.
They weren't bad either.
No.
Ellsbury will take the strike, and it's 3-1. Fastball run at the bottom of the zone. Jacoby with a ground rule double in the first inning, came around to score the game's only run on a sacrifice fly by Alex Rodriguez in the first inning. Ellsbury, did he go? No, and he works a walk here, the first allowed by Eduardo Rodriguez tonight. So the Yankees have 2 on with 2 outs.
Fastball inside, and Ellsbury here really trying to get out of the way. Did not go around and awarded first base. Good thing that ball didn't hit the bat, because that bat would have snapped right in half.
2 on, 2 down. Brett Gardner, the batter. And a sacrifice bunt in the first inning led to a run in the first. In there for strike one. Runners in scoring position. Some good numbers for Brett Gardner at 306 with 8 homers and 52 runs batted in. He bats with Refsnyder at second base, Ellsbury at first. 2 down here in the Yankees' second inning. On deck, Alex Rodriguez with 2 down here in the second inning. Gardner this year making his first career All-Star appearance. It's a ground ball to Pedroia at second base. A bobble, he doesn't know where it is. Everybody is safe. He dropped it, then couldn't find it. And reaching at first is Gardner. The error charge to Pedroia.
You see that happen to Dustin Pedroia. You're almost stunned, because he almost never drops a baseball. He had no idea it was. It bounced up. It looked like it hit him near the belt buckle, and then just couldn't find it. And by the time he does, everybody's safe. What a helpless feeling that is.
He was looking towards the outfield.
Yeah, he had no idea where that baseball ended up.
So base is filled with the Yankees now. Refsnyder reached on a fielder's choice. Ellsbury reached on a walk. Gardner reaches on the error. Now A-Rod with a chance to do more damage has already driven in a run in this game. Ball one. 5 for 10 with the bases loaded this year. Has a grand slam to his credit. Schneider at third, Ellsbury at second, Gardner at first with 2 down. That is already pitch 43 for Eduardo Rodriguez.
I think the extra time off might have hurt him. You know, giving us some time off because they don't want to. They're watching his pitch count very closely. Amount of pitches and innings that he's thrown all season long. But I think that little bit of time off is hurting him in the first couple of innings.
Well, they were planning on a max of 6 innings in this game as well for Eduardo. Going to reach that pitch count limit, that innings limit that they have envisioned for him. Does not appear to be as sharp as normal here in the early going. That's a strike, and he jumps ahead 1-2. As you mentioned, the velocity's been good though, 96.
Well rested.
Two and two. Career .352 hitter in this spot for A-Rod with 25 grand slams. That's pretty good. It is an MLB record 25. Jammed and he fouls it back to the screen. Fastball at 97 kind of biting in.
Yeah, another overpowering fastball right there by Rodriguez at 97 miles an hour. He gets a light swing here from Rodriguez. Had him tied up.
Full count. So here we go. Everybody in motion with 2 down. Base is filled with the Yankees. And a count of 3-2 here to Alex Rodriguez. Carlos Beltran waiting on deck. Swing and a foul tip for strike 3. Rodriguez gets out of the jam, and the Yankees will leave him loaded. Yankees have a 1-0 lead.
Oh, hang on. So yesterday was rookie costume day. The rookies came to the park in their suits, and at the end of the game had a costume waiting for them in their lockers, and they then had to wear those costumes on the flight to New York. Now, I talked to Matt Barnes, who said he's had to do this twice now, and he said you don't fight it, you embrace it. Now, Don, Jerry, I was pretty impressed with the way Noe Ramirez was walking those high heels. And Jerry, did you ever have to do anything like that?
No, we didn't. This is the kind of new wave stuff that's been going on now for a number of years. But fortunately, no, when I was a rookie, we didn't have to do that. Thank goodness. And
that is not an enjoyable experience. I get over the years watching these guys have to go through that for the most part. That's tough.
It's awfully embarrassing. And to make it worse, when we checked into our hotel last night, we're staying where the president is staying, by the way. So Secret Service is there, all kind of New York police officers. I mean, it's mobbed. And they got to watch these guys walk in with these outfits on. I mean, I would be totally embarrassed.
Leadoff strikeout here for Nova as he gets Marrero to begin things. He closed the second by striking out Swihart. Opens the third by getting Marrero. Those are the only 2 strikeouts he has so far. One down here in the inning. I wonder who picks out the costumes and who decides.
I think it was Clay Buchholz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw him walk in one day with a big box of stuff, and he was the guy I think responsible for separating and getting these guys their costumes and their high heels and whatever they were wearing. Who was in the high heels? Was that Ramirez?
Noe Ramirez had the high heels.
He was scuffling coming off the plane, walking to the bus.
It was not a comfortable walk. It looked like he was going to go down a few times.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It did. It really did.
Yeah, that's Noe on the right.
On the right, yeah. He looks pretty happy about things.
How about Marrero? That's a tight top he's got going there.
Good look.
Unbelievable. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know which is worse, having to do that as a rookie or what you kind of went through, which was much different, where they just don't talk to you at all.
Well, personally, I'd rather have them not talk to me.
Yeah.
And I told you before, usually it was the guys that were the hard guys, were guys that stunk.
I don't get that at all.
I don't get it either.
That makes no sense to me. If you told me Yaz was terrible to you, I'd say, okay. Well, you're talking about a Hall of Famer was no use for a rookie. But that's not the case.
No. This is, and I was a rookie, of course, I was with the Angels, and it was 3 or 4 guys, and they were terrible. They ended up being terrible. And it's like, what are you giving us a hard time for? You stink.
You stink.
Yeah. Just want to tell you now that you all stunk.
Yeah. Now that I've been here a few years, you stink, and you stunk then.
You stunk then, and he still stink.
There's a 3-1 to Bradley Jr. As he shows bunt, he will take ball 4 a little bit low. And the first walk given up by Nova. Hey, Red Sox Nation, start earning rewards for every Dunkin' run. Enroll any DD card online at ddperks.com. The Red Sox run on Dunkin'. There's a lot of Dunkin' there. 1 out, 1 on here in the 3rd inning. Mookie Betts the batter. Yankees have a 1-0 lead. Yankees infield at double play depth. And he may have gone. They check. He did, says Mike Everett.
Pretty clear swing right there by Mookie Betts.
Check at first base and Bradley back.
I was thinking, this might be the smallest crowd I've ever seen here at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, we're used to seeing this thing completely
pretty much filled
out.
up, if not a few rows up in the top deck. Maybe not full, but sparse crowd, I would call tonight. Monday night, they've got something clinched. Well, they don't have it quite clinched yet.
No, there's like 5 things that have to happen for that to happen.
It's going to happen.
I'm keeping an eye on that Cleveland score because that's part of it. Here's what has to happen. Okay, first they have to beat the Red Sox, then the A's have to beat the Angels, and then the Tigers have to beat the Rangers, and the Indians have to defeat the Twins. So a couple things need to happen. I think it's going to happen.
All tonight?
Throw to first, and back is Bradley. I bet you Joe doesn't even know all the possibilities.
No.
Said to Joe before the game, Joe, what do you got to do to clinch a berth tonight? No 2-pitch coming. And a swing and a miss as Betts strikes out. Foul tipped into the catcher's mitt. 3 Ks for Nova. 2 down in the inning.
Had good movement on that fastball going down and in on Mookie Betts. 2 of his fastball strikeouts on fastballs, 1 on the breaking ball. But there's that 2-seam fastball coming back down and into Betts. Usually Mookie likes the ball in, but a little bit higher than that.
So 2 down. Bradley at first base brings up Dustin Pedroia. Grounded out to shortstop in the first inning. 0 for 1. Start and stop at first base for Bradley, trying to time Nova.
It's also not a bad play because sometimes when you do that, you move a middle infielder, whoever's responsible for covering, and in this case it'd be the second baseman. Sometimes they move out of position. They take a couple steps toward the bag, and you can get them out of position.
A little bit low, and Pedroia jumps ahead here, 3-0. Nova has walked 1, struck out 3 through 2 2/3 innings. Dustin taken all the way, and he takes ball 4. A 4-pitch walk for Pedroia. Second walk of the inning and to the outing allowed by Nova. Well, stay tuned for Red Sox Final presented by Uno's. Adam Eck and Steve Lyons will break down the AL wildcard race. 2 on, 2 down. Xander Bogaerts coming up. Bogaerts reaching on a fielder's choice in the first inning. Was caught trying to steal. Now gets his second look at Nova. Not only are the Yankees trying to get into the playoffs and clinch a berth here tonight, they have something else riding on a win tonight. Move into 10,000 regular season victories. Would be the first American League team to do so. Bogaerts lunges after that, finds himself in the hole, 0-2.
A little slower curveball that time by Nova as he changes speeds on it. And you can see how off balance Bogart was on that breaking ball.
Swing and a miss. Bogaerts strikes out. The Red Sox will lead 2 on. It's 1-0 New York through 2.5 from the stadium. memorable week of his Hall of Fame enshrinement in Cooperstown to his number retirement celebration at Fenway. Catch it all tomorrow at 5 on the Red Sox Report. 1-0 Yankees have the lead over the Red Sox. Eduardo Rodriguez back to the hill. That was pitch 50 of his outing. And it is Carlos Beltran, Chase Headley, Greg Bird to bat here in the third inning. Popped up left side. Xander Bogaerts, equidistant between second and third. Puts it away for the first out here of the bottom of the third. DraftKings.com is paying out over $300 million this baseball season. DraftKings has given out $34 million to Boston residents alone since the site launched. Get your free entry into a one-day fantasy baseball contest today using promo code NESSN. One out for Chase Headley. Headley single to left field in the first inning, 1 for 1. Six-game hitting streak coming in for Headley. In the air to left field. Back goes Bradley Jr. onto the track to leap, and he makes the catch up against the wall. Jackie Bradley Jr. reeling it in out there. Good running catch, had to leap and did it all right in front of the wall.
Now, one thing the Red Sox don't have to do is experiment where to play Jackie Bradley Jr. because he can play any one of those three outfield positions. There's a great example right there at left field. He has a long way to go. It's a big left field here at Yankee Stadium. Covers a lot of ground, goes into the jump, and Rodriguez loves the catch.
2 down here in the third inning. First look when that ball came off the bat, looked like it was going to get out of here.
I thought it was gone. I did.
Bird, a strikeout victim in the first inning. 1 of 2 Ks for Eduardo Rodriguez. Chase Headley had hoped for a better fate, but he is out number 2 of the inning instead. Line to right, and this is going to get in. Trying to cut it off his hold. He does a good job of doing that and getting it back in quickly. Holds Bird to a 2-out single.
Now, Bird's had pretty good success, you know, lefty against lefty. He's 2 for 5 now in his career against Eduardo Rodriguez. There's a ball that's away from him, or a middle away, and he takes it, hooks it to the to right field for the base hit. Little slip by Holt as he goes to throw it back in, but no problems.
So 2 down, Bird at first, held on by Shaw, and here is John Ryan Murphy. Single to center field in the second inning. Run 5 hits, no errors for New York. No runs, 2 hits, an error for Boston. Swing and a miss. Fastball by him. It's been 7 days since the last time I saw Eduardo Rodriguez. No decision against Tampa Bay. And the Red Sox won 8-7. In 6 innings, giving up 3 runs. They were earned. He walked 2 and struck out 4. 91 pitches thrown in that outing. #12th quality start in his last 20 starts for the left-hander. In the dirt, and it's 2-2. Beltran popped out to short to begin the inning. Headley flying out to the warning track and left, and a good running catch by Jackie Bradley Jr. Greg Bird with a 2-out single to right, and now John Ryan Murphy with a count of 2-2. Swing and a foul tip for strike 3. That is 3 strikeouts for Rodriguez. We head to the 4th. Yankees have a 1-0 lead. Finding new technology that puts your needs first. See what's new at easternbank.com. Here, your first. Eastern Bank. 4th inning, 1-0. Yankees have the lead over the Red Sox. It is 4, 5, and 6 featured here for Boston in the 4th inning. Travis Shaw to lead it off.
Every time I see that moon, shot of the moon here in New York, I think of the Honeymooners.
Jackie Gleason.
Yeah, I think of that show all the time when I see it here, especially in New York.
This is again through the shift into right center field, and a base hit here for Shaw, who's now 2 for 2. Lead runner on here for the Red Sox for the 3rd time in 4 innings. Red Sox have left 3 men on base through the first 3 innings, and here is Brock Holt flat out to the warning track in left field back in the 2nd inning. One run, 5 hits, no errors for New York. No runs, 3 hits, an error for Boston. Red Sox are 5-10 against the Yankees in the season series. Well, tomorrow at 6, don't miss. Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. Adam Eck and Steve Lyons will look back at some of our best moments on the pregame show this season. Flat out to the warning track in the 2nd inning. Batting here with Shaw at first and nobody out. Outside for ball 2. Nova coming in with a record of 6-9. With a 4.87 earned run average. 16th start of the year for Nova.
That guy coming off Tommy John surgery.
Yankees infield a double play depth. And Holt hits a possible double play to second base for one, on to first for two.
Gregorius, the shortstop, almost took too much time on that. It was a little bit slow reacting on the double play, but they do get Brock Holt at first base. I thought he'd come charging across that bag a little bit harder than what he did. It made it closer than it really should have been. But gets it done anyway, so the double play for the Yankees, race the base runner for the Red Sox.
Two down here for Alan Craig. He'll take strike one. Craig grounded out to Rob Refsnyder, the second baseman, in the second inning. 0 for 1. Strike called. Craig didn't like it. He's down 0-2. But umpire Tim Timmons calling the balls and strikes tonight. Craig hits a grounder down the third baseline that is going to go foul. So Craig's got to come back here with a count still of 0-2. Outfield straight away here on Alan Craig. Spending the bulk of the year AAA with the Pawtucket Red Sox. Not what he had planned. Start of the year with Boston. All back up as a September call-up. Started the first 13 games of the year with Boston. Drops in there for strike three. Goes looking. That's 5 Ks for Nova. We're through 3.5. Yankees have a 1-0 lead. Helps make good things happen. Watch how good things are happening to local people. EasternBank.com/good things happen. back in New York as the Yankees have a 1-0 lead over the Red Sox. Into the home half of the fourth inning we go. Eduardo Rodriguez back on the mound. 8-9-1 featured here for New York. It starts with Didi Gregorius, the Yankees shortstop. Popped out to Devin Marrero at third base in the second inning. 0 for 1. Yankees have had at least one base runner in every inning so far. A lot of pitches thrown here so far for Eduardo Rodriguez. That's a strike, and it's 2-1. Yankees leaving base runners at first and second in the first. Left the bases loaded in the second. And a runner at first in the third. So 6 left on through the first 3 innings. Third attempt tonight for Eduardo Rodriguez to get his 10th win. It's been elusive. There's a ground ball, first base, picked by Shaw. He's got to take it himself, and he'll get there. Late breaking from the mound was Eduardo Rodriguez, but Shaw gets it done. Gregorius is out, number 1 of the bottom of the fourth inning. It's time now for tonight's Twisted but True Fact. Eduardo Rodriguez, the only second. Oh, let's do that one again. Eduardo Rodriguez is only the second Red Sox left-hander since 1918 to have beaten the Yankees twice in a season before turning 23 years old. The other was Billy Rohr, 1967. Twisted tea is the hard iced tea. It tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted. 1 out in the fourth inning. Rob Refsnyder reaching on a fielder's choice in the second inning. 0 for 1. Behind is Rodriguez, 3-0. Top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury waiting on deck. Yankees batting here in the fourth. There's a strike, 3-1. Refsnyder through the left side into left field, a base hit. A base runner for New York, a 1-out single from his number 9 spot in the order.
That's what happens when you fall behind 3 balls and 1 strike. You know, the hitter can look, fastball, sit on a pitch that he wants to hit. He gets it and takes it through the left side of the infield for the base hit. Fastball middle in. And that's where he should be looking in a 3-1 count.
One out, 1 on, and Jacoby Ellsbury standing in here. His third plate appearance of the game, and he grounds one back towards Rodriguez. Eduardo bobbles, and he'll get no one. No, he did get him. Wow. Close play at first base. Thought Ellsbury had beaten it out, but he did not.
I thought he did too.
And Eduardo, right now anyway, has the out at first base. See if the Yankees are going to challenge this or not.
Let's take another look out south. A long time here for Rodriguez to get this ball to first base. He wanted to go to second first. Bobbles it, then throws a changeup to first base.
Oh, no, he missed the bag.
Oh, he didn't get the bag. He jumped right over. He stepped in front of it and then right over it.
Didn't make contact until there.
There's a good look right here. Hits the front, does not hit the front of the bag. The ball is in the glove, and by the time he touches the bag, when he drags it over, that ball completely under control by Travis Shaw.
94 up and in to Brett Gardner. Eduardo Rodriguez says hello. Fly ball to right field. In comes Brock Holt. He will put it away to end things here in the fourth inning. We're headed to the fifth with the Yankees on top 1-0. On TC, should the wild card playoff become a 3-game series? Text Sox 1 for yes. Text Sox 2 for no. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. One message per vote. Visit NESN.com/terms for terms and conditions and privacy policy.
I say yes. I vote for yes. 2 out of 3.
I agree with you. The one issue you have is that now you're talking about, at the very least, 4 more days.
That's okay.
Because you got the 2 games in one location. This is to third, as Headley will go to first and get it there in time to retire. Swihart. I just want you to think about that for a second, though.
I did. I've already thought about it. Yeah, I don't care.
So how about this? How about we take it a step further? If this is now going to be 4 days, and then you need a day off to get to where you're ever going the next round, that maybe you consider bringing the regular season back to 154. What do you think about that?
No.
So you don't
I don't agree with that. And I don't think you need a day off. I think you can do it in 3 straight days.
Okay.
I mean, we do it all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Just depends where that wild card team is coming from.
You can make it work.
Devin Marrero taking a pitch outside. Struck out looking in the 3rd inning. But I do think if you play all season long, it should be more than just 1 game.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Fly ball to right field down towards the corner. Beltran going to that corner on the dirt, and he's able to make the catch. Nice play. Right up against that wall and by where the stands begin.
Now, it looked like Beltran was struggling when he got over close to that wall. I didn't think he was going to be able to make the play, but he leaps and takes it right off the top of the fence, it looked like. Well, very close to the top of the fence.
Nova loves it. 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Jackie Bradley Jr. the batter. He walked in the 3rd inning. The first of 2 walks in that inning allowed by Nova. He walked 2 in that inning, struck out 3 in the 3rd. A nasty pitch there. It dropped down. It's 1-1. Foul back. 1-2. Red Sox season ticket plans are now available for the 2016 season. For information about becoming a Red Sox season ticket holder, call 617-226-6888 or visit redsox.com/season tickets today. Headed to the dugout was Nova, but it is ball 2.
I can understand why. That looked like a pretty good pitch. Just sink it down around knee high. Did not get the call.
Fly ball to center field. Jacoby Ellsbury now makes his way into left center and makes the catch that ends the top of the 5th. We're halfway through with the Yankees on top 1-0. Eck and Steve Lyons to break down tonight's game. You'll hear from Eduardo Rodriguez. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Huba W.B. Mason. Eduardo Rodriguez working here into the bottom of the 5th inning. Yankees on top 1-0. Alex Rodriguez, Carlos Beltran, and Chase Headley to bat here for New York. And a liner into center field for A-Rod. His first hit of the night opens up this bottom of the 5th inning.
Yeah, A-Rod sees the ball off E-Rod very, very well. We highlighted his success coming into the game 4 for 9 with a home run. He's going to sacrifice fly tonight. Now he takes this ball up the middle for the base hit on a topspin line drive. So he must pick the ball up out of his hand very well. Like an off-speed pitch that time, a changeup that stayed upstairs.
Lead runner on here for New York again, as Beltran will take the strike. 1 for 2 tonight. He singled to right field in the first inning, popped out to short in the third. Popped up, foul off to the right, out of play. So Saturday, don't miss an ACC football doubleheader at noon. Pittsburgh visits Virginia Tech. Then at 3:30 on NESN Plus, the BC Eagles take on the Duke Blue Devils. Saturday afternoon, tune in for your college football fix on NESN and NESN Plus. Pitch 80 coming up here for Eduardo Rodriguez. And it's popped up right side of the infield. Travis Shaw makes the catch for the first out here of the 5th. One on, one out. Chase Headley coming up. He is single to left and flied out to the warning track in left field. 1 for 2. Great running catch out there by Jackie Bradley Jr. last time Headley was at the plate. Strike again on that outside corner. He's wearing it out right now. 0-2.
A changeup followed by a fastball. The fastball at 95. The changeup about 88.
Swing and a miss. That one's by him. It makes quick work of Chase Headley. There's the 4th strikeout for Eduardo Rodriguez.
Everything away from Headley at that at bat. A changeup followed by 2 fastballs. And the last fastball clocked at 95 miles an hour.
Mika Insurance, great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. Swing and a miss. Seems like Eduardo is getting better as this outing is going on.
I really think the beginning of this game he was a little bit rusty from all the time off with his location.
Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Shift on here by the Red Sox here on Bird. Just to the right of second base, Xander Bogaerts. Roy on the outfield grass. Bird thought about it. Did he go? Yes, he did. They ring him up. Todd Titchener said he went. 1-0 New York through 5. Let's take a look at the Red Sox box score. schedule filled with must-see matchups. You won't want to miss out on the action, the excitement of Bruins hockey. To purchase tickets, visit bostonbruins.com or the Bruins mobile app. Eduardo Rodriguez through the first 5 innings, 86 pitches, giving up just the 1 run. That came in the first inning on the sac fly by A-Rod. That is the top of the Red Sox order. Mookie Betts leading it off here in the 6th inning. 5 in a row retired by Ivan Nova. That's 1 for 2 on the night. He doubled in the first inning and struck out swinging in the 3rd inning. Pedroia, then Bogaerts, expected in the 6th. Incidental contact there as he tried to hold up.
Here's that incidental contact that Don was talking about. Sounds like a football game or something here.
I don't know where I got that. I just threw it out. I don't even know if it makes sense. 1-2 pitch, jumps up and hits him twice, but he was in the box. One and 2 the count here to Betts. Sharply hit, but picked at third. Just in case, throws across, caught that in the air. Down there at third base to Headley. Wasn't entirely sure. The umpire hadn't made the call right away, so he goes across the diamond, but it is a line out for the first out here of the 6th. We'll see Dennis Leary, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Wright, and more. The 21st annual Comics Come Home at the TD Garden on Saturday, November the 7th. Proceeds benefit the Cam Daly Foundation for cancer care. For tickets, visit Ticketmaster.com. 1 out here in the 6th inning, Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia grounded out to short in the 1st, walked in the 3rd. Hits allowed by Nova. Double by Betts, single by Shaw, single by Shaw. As the pitch will miss low and away. 2-1. Center fielder Jacoby Ellsbury over towards right center. Gap out in left center field. Ground ball deep third. Headley with a long throw, but he gets it there without any problem at all. The throwing arm there from Headley, 2 down.
He's a good defensive third baseman. There's no question about that, but he does have a high total of errors this year. 23 down at third base, but playing very well there tonight. Goes to the backhand and a long throw, as long as you can make one in fair territory. And gets there plenty of time to get Pedroia.
So 2 down here in the 6th inning, and brings up Xander Bogaerts. Ground ball, and by the dive of Headley, a fair ball down that left field line. Over comes Gardner as Bogaerts heads for second base. He'll get there standing with a 2-out double. Right down the line that time for Xander.
Now the Red Sox pick up their 4th hit of the night. There have been 2 doubles, one by Betts, one by Bogaerts, and 2 singles, both by Shaw. Here's the ground ball by the dive of Headley. And once it gets by him, that's going to be a man in scoring position for the Red Sox.
Well, Nova's had his problems tonight with Shaw. Both of his singles going to center field. Not shifting this time. Refsnyder, though, into short right field to second baseman. And Shaw hits it well to right. Beltran looking up, and it is gone. 2-run home run for Travis Shaw, his 12th of the year. And with that swing of the bat, the Red Sox take a 2-1 lead.
Well, Travis Shaw, as we mentioned, came into the game 0 for his last 16. He gets that fastball that runs back out over the plate and takes it out of the ballpark. His 3rd hit of the night. 2 singles, and now the 2-run home run with 2 outs.
Well, in honor of David Ortiz's 500 home runs, Alltown will double their $500 donation to the Cystic Fibrosis Multiple Sclerosis Fund. Alltown is New England's premier healthier convenience retailer. Well, Shaw with his 12th of the year, a 2-run shot gives the Red Sox the lead. 3rd hit of the night for Shaw. As Holt now grounds one at Gregorius at shortstop. Thrown out at first to end the inning, but a 2-run shot for Shaw has the Red Sox on top 2-1. We head into the bottom of the 6th inning. Eduardo Rodriguez is pitching. Line brought to you by Ace Ticket. 5 innings, 7 hits, 1 run. Walk and 5 Ks. 86 pitches for Rodriguez. Now has a lead for the first time tonight. John Ryan Murphy, D.D. Gregorius, Rob Refsnyder expected here in the 6th inning, and a grounder foul off the bat of Murphy. Murphy tonight has singled to center and struck out swinging. One run, 7 hits, no errors for New York tonight as their run comes in the first. Here's a drive to left field that has Bradley on the run. He leaps and makes another catch. Jackie Bradley Jr. with his 2nd very good catch tonight. And this one on the run and able to leap up to grab it, and he robs Murphy. Murphy can't believe it, but he is out number 1.
Now, he thought he had a stand-up double, but you got to remember who's out there in left field. It's Jackie Bradley Jr. That's the 2nd time tonight he's taken extra bases away from the Yankees. When that ball left the bat, I didn't think Bradley had any chance. But he read it perfectly, got back quickly. This guy thinks he's got a double.
Yeah. That's some really bad news.
Then you get you get the really bad news. And you're out.
You can take your gear yourself to the dugout.
Put your catcher stuff on, too.
One out here in the 8th. JBJ's out there. D.D. Gregorius taking a pitch outside. He has popped out to third, grounded out to first base, 0 for 2. Stirring in the Red Sox pen for the first time tonight. This one to short. Bogarts gets it there in time. 2 down. Well, it's time for a game break brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Adam? All right, Adam, thanks very much. Here in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium, Red Sox have a 2-1 advantage. Rob Refsnyder, the batter, with 2 outs and the base is empty. They're trying to get Eduardo Rodriguez 6 innings worth of work tonight was the plan. He's 94 pitches now and a swing and a miss as Refsnyder down 0-2, and there is action for the first time tonight. Heath Hembree up in the pen.
I think we've seen more cut fastballs tonight from Rodriguez than we've seen all season long. That not the cutter there, that 96, but that one that's about 90. That's his cut fastball. We have not seen much of that this season. Right on a string of 5 in a row retired by Rodriguez. This one fouled off to the right out of play. 96 tonight, equaling his average. 14 the season high for Rodriguez. Coming in at 9-6, third try for his 10th win. Refsnyder to left, and Bradley coming in to make the running catch. Putting on a defensive clinic out there in left field tonight is Jackie Bradley Jr. 2-1 Boston.
See highlights of Tuukka Rask's preseason debut tonight for the Bruins, and hear from Tom Brady as the Patriots react to their dominant win over Jacksonville. Masson Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do. Eduardo trying to stay in this game. He wanted one more inning, but he's not going to get it. But he was trying to plead his case when all of a sudden he fell down the stairs. I want one more inning, except I'm going down. So not only is he okay, but he is also done, as this one is fouled off to the right out of play. So congratulated by his teammates. Quite the exit down the steps.
Yeah, that's a good way to leave the mound for the last time of the season, right? Yeah. Down the steps and fall down.
Yeah. 80th pitch for Nova, and a swing and a miss here for Alan Craig. Craig 0 for 2 tonight. He's grounded out to second. Struck out looking. Now a swing and a miss. Strikes out swinging this time, and that is 6 strikeouts for Nova.
That's the second good outing in a row for Nova. He pitched well last time against Toronto, but did not get picked up a loss in that game. 4-0 loss, but pitched well. Keeps the ball down and in this time to Craig. That sinking fastball, and picks up the strikeout. Second time he struck him out tonight. Once on a breaking ball, once on a fastball.
One down in the 7th inning brings up Blake Swihart. Swihart 0 for 2. Struck out swinging in the second, grounded out to third in the 5th. Yankees shifting on Swihart now as they move Gregorius to the right side of the infield, just to the right of the bag at second.
And you've seen a lot of that tonight too from Nova. Big slow curveballs.
Swihart sends it into center field for a base hit. First time Swihart has reached tonight after a strikeout and a ground out. He's got himself a 1-out single here in the 7th inning. They'll get immediate care without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, first aid station behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. BIDMC is the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox. 1 out, 1 on, and Devin Marrero 0 for 2. He has struck out, fouled out down the right field line on a good running catch by Carlos Beltran. Marrero getting another start at third base. That's where he has seen the bulk of his action since coming up from Pawtucket.
I like to see a little hit and run action here. Red Sox have the 2-1 count. You got a sinker ball pitcher on the mound. You don't have great speed on the bases.
Throw to first and back to the bag is Swihart. Action in the Yankees pen for the first time tonight. Former Red Sox right-hander Andrew Bailey has been pitching very well for the Yankees and close to being back to where he was at one time. All-star caliber. Marrero fouls it off at the plate. 1-1. Devin tonight. Another start at third base and batting with 1 out, 1 on here in the 7th inning. With Jackie Bradley Jr. waiting on deck. Red Sox getting their 2 runs in the 6th inning. Tap foul, 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here to Devin Marrero. Swire with a good sized lead at first. Starting to stop at first as Marrero strikes out. That's the 7th strikeout for Nova. 2 down.
Now that strikeout, that pitch there was the exact same pitch he got Craig on the first at batter of the inning. That sinker down and in.
Nova's pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. 6 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, a 2-run home run by Shaw. A couple of walks now, 7 strikeouts. And the next pitch will be the 90th of the night for Nova. Down and in and blocked by Murphy. Able to block that. No advance at first for Swihart.
That's a big block, especially this time of the game. Red Sox leading it by 1 run. Murphy keeps a man out of scoring position as he blocks that curveball.
Shifting here on Jackie Bradley Jr. on the right side for New York. To left field. Gardner on the move back, and that ball is going to be off the wall. No, they're calling it a home run. Todd Titchener, the third base umpire, giving the home run sign. So apparently into that first row. Jackie Bradley Jr. with his 10th home run of the year. And the Red Sox take a 4-1 lead now in their second 2-run home run of the night. Well, the way that came off, I thought it hit off the top of the wall. We'll get another look as the Yankees are getting it checked out right now.
Yeah, Bradley going to the opposite field, and yes, it does clear the wall. It hits that pole that is above the wall out there. You see it? The fans reaching for it?
Sure do.
And it hits that little horseshoe-type pole. I guess.
Sort of.
Sort of a horseshoe.
Here's a pop-up. Right side as back now is Bird. He calls off the second baseman, Refsnyder, and makes the catch. It ends the inning. A 2-run home run for Jackie Bradley Jr. Red Sox take a 4-1 lead. Southwest.com. Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. Your local Subaru dealers. And by Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. Thank you, New England, for 60 great years.
Let's look back. Rodriguez out of the ball game right now, but 4 strikeouts we'll look at from Rodriguez tonight in this ball game. And again, they get better as the game had going on. A cut fastball, a fastball there to A-Rod, fastball away to Headley, and then a slider down and away. So a little bit rusty early in the game was location, but that certainly picked up later on in the ball game.
Tonight's game summary brought to you by Xfinity, as the numbers for Eduardo Rodriguez: 6 innings, 7 hits, and earned run. 3 for 3 is Travis Shaw, including his 12th home run. Jackie Bradley Jr. just hit his 10th. Monova on the hook, giving up 4 earned runs in 7 innings. And Alex Rodriguez with a sacrifice fly, supplying the Yankees with their only run of the night. Red Sox have a 4-1 lead here as we head into the bottom of the 7th inning, and the Red Sox have a new pitcher. Heath Hembree now into the game, making his 19th appearance. 2-0 with a 3.57 earned run average, 13 strikeouts, 6 walks, and opponent sitting at 244 against Hembree. Hembree been used a lot lately. Earned the win, throwing a scoreless 5th inning Saturday against Baltimore. Was his 6th straight scoreless appearance, not giving up a run in the last 5 2/3 innings. Top of the Yankees order to lead it off here in the 7th inning. Jacoby Ellsbury, Brett Gardner, then Alex Rodriguez will be along here in the inning. So Eduardo Rodriguez with a chance to get his 10th win of the year. Came into tonight individually in 9 and 6. Need some help from the pen. Fouled off, and it's 0-2. Outside, 1-2. A couple of former Red Sox up in the pen, Andrew Bailey and Chris Capuano. A former bullpen coach, Gary Tuck. All spending time in a Red Sox uniform. Pitch up and away, and it's 2-2. On deck is Brett Gardner. 2-2. Line to center field. Betts is going to lean forward and make the catch. A little stumble there in the beginning, almost costly, but he ends up making the grab as it stayed up long enough.
And remember now, Mookie hasn't been out in center field for a few days. He's been out in right field, and there's the slip that's going to almost cost Betts. Seen a couple of guys slip in the outfield. We saw Brock Holt earlier in today slipping in right field, and now Betts in center field.
One down here in the 7th inning brings up Brett Gardner. Gardner with a sacrifice bunt in the 1st inning. Reached on an error in the 2nd. Fly to right in the 4th. And he takes strike 1. More action for the Red Sox in the pen, as Matt Barnes and Noe Ramirez warm in the Boston pen. Bunt bid, and off the mound is Hembree. He slips too, and his throw is going to be late. Right foot gave out on him, just slipped from underneath him, and reaching is Gardner.
Yeah, if he doesn't slip, he gets Gardner at first base. But once he slipped, he threw a changeup to first. Tries to plant that right leg, and you're going to see it right here. Just give way on it. So we've seen that in the outfield. Now we've seen it in the infield. Must be a very soft surface out there here at Yankee Stadium.
Torey Lovullo out there to make the change here with 1 out in the 7th inning. Brett Gardner reaches. And a pitching change from Yankee Stadium. 4-1. Boston on top. Noe Ramirez will be coming in. Patriots games. Visit aceticket.com for the best seats at the best prices. Ace Ticket is more than a ticket. Well, Noe Ramirez into the game here. 16th appearance, 0-1 with a 4.38 earned run average, 13 strikeouts, and 6 walks. Comes in with Gardner at first and checks on him instantly at first base.
That Gardner has 19 steals on the season, has been caught 5 times.
Over there again, Gardner back again. This time not having to dive. Drops down a little bit in there for a strike. Embry responsible for the runner at first with 1 out. It is Noe Ramirez dealing with Alex Rodriguez. Oh, and 2.
A change up that time by Ramirez. Bottom falling out of it. Ending up out of the strike zone.
There's no doubt that the confidence from Torey Lovullo has certainly increased with Noe Ramirez in some pressure situations, and here's why. Here's ground ball second base to second for 1. A double pump, but he still gets him at first. A double play that ends the inning. Nicely done by Noe Ramirez. Let's take a look at the updated Red Sox box score. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Now back in New York, where the Red Sox hold a 4-1 lead over the Yankees. We head to the top half of the 8th inning. Nicely done by Noe Ramirez, getting Alex Rodriguez to ground into the 4-6-3 inning-ending double play. New pitcher on here for New York, Andrew Bailey. 8th appearance, 6.14 earned run average, 6 strikeouts, 4 walks. Opponent's hitting at .231 against Bailey. An inning and a third last time out with 2 strikeouts against the Chicago White Sox, last pitching on Friday, as he misses up and in at 94 miles an hour. Made his Yankees debut and first major league appearance since 2013, when the Yankees were at Fenway Park in Boston. That one runs outside, and it's 2-0.
Felt some shoulder problems, had surgery a couple of years ago in 2013, and it took him almost 2 years to get back to the big leagues.
Signed by the Yankees as a minor league free agent. This one fouled back. Pedroia, Bogaerts, and Shaw expected here in the 8th. So Nova goes the first 7 innings in this game. Gives up 7 hits and 4 runs, including 2 home runs. Walked 2, struck out 7. On the hook, came into the game at 6-9. Pedroia fouls it again. Dustin has grounded out to short, walked and grounded out to third. Bailey actually started this year at Single A Tampa, trying to work his way back to the big leagues. Lined and caught. Diving, spectacular catch by Refsnyder. Nicely done.
Wow. That was a terrific play by Refsnyder. A line drive that looked like it was going to be a base hit. He times his leap perfectly and takes a base hit away from Pedroia. Watch him from this angle. Great play. Ball slightly sliding back in his direction, which helped him out a little bit, but the terrific play by Refsnyder.
More action in the pen. Chris Capuano still up. Caleb Cotham is also warming right now for New York. Red Sox have just Matt Barnes by himself in the pen now. There's Xander Bogaerts with 1 out in the 8th inning. In there for strike 1. Xander reached on a fielder's choice in the first, struck out in the 3rd, and then doubled and scored in the 6th inning. On the ground and into left center field for Xander Bogaerts. His 2nd hit of the night. Takes a wide turn, but he'll get back to the bag at first. A 1-out base hit.
Well, 192 hits on the season now for Bogaerts. Just 8 away from that magic 200. Gets a breaking ball that time from Bailey and takes it hard up the middle. A slider that didn't slide. Right on over the plate.
Here comes Joe Girardi with 1 out and 1 on. And double-barreled action in his pen. He will take the baseball, and it'll be Chris Capuano making his way in. Pitching change from Yankee Stadium. 100 accredited charities throughout New England. 4-1, Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees. One out here in the top half of the 8th inning. Chris Capuano into the game here for New York. 21st appearance, 0-4 with a 7.94 earned run average. 36 strikeouts, 21 walks. Opponent sitting at 305 against Capuano. Travis Shaw, the batter. And Shaw will take strike one. Shaw 3 for 3, all of it against tonight's Yankee starter, Von Nova. Shaw singling to center in the 2nd, singling to center in the 4th, and a 2-run home run in the 6th inning. Capuano has been used as a starter this year for New York. 4 starts, went 0-3 with a 9.45 ERA as a starter. Swing and a miss there, makes it 1-2.
Not a good breaking ball at all by Capuano that time, but almost too bad to hit. The ball stayed up and in about neck high. The breaking ball is supposed to be away. It stays inside and high.
So such a bad pitch, you can't even hit it.
You can't even hit it.
The 1-2 pitch. We'll have to wait as Capuano checks on Bogaerts at first base. Capuano had been starting games at AAA Scranton this year. 2-1 with a 1.27 earned run average. Last started for New York back on July the 28th. Well, the bullpen ever since. 1-2 pitch. In the air, foul, off to the left, out of play. Rocco waiting on deck. Red Sox batting here in the top half of the 8th inning with a 3-run lead right now. Swing and a miss, and Shaw strikes out. Down to one knee to do so. First time he's been retired tonight.
That little different look that time from Capuano. Looks like he dropped down on the side a little bit with a changeup. Don't see that very often. There's the changeup, and it's down and in on Travis Shaw. And he gets the swing and miss.
So 2 down, Bogaerts at first base, and it brings up Brock Holt. Still looking for his first hit tonight. Holt has flied out to left, grounded into a 4-6-3 double play, and last time up, grounded out to short. 3 for his last 40 against the Yankees in the season series is Brock Holt. In there for a strike, top of the zone, borderline. On the ground, foul, and it's 0-2. Capuano spending time with the Red Sox in 2014. 1-1 with the Red Sox in 28 games. Only a few more chances to see your name in the Boston Globe and on TV. Just visit NESN.com/freeze-frame to see the photo of the week and send in a clever caption that could make it on the next NESN Clubhouse show. 2 outs, Xander Bogaerts at first base. 0-2 pitch coming here from Chris Capuano. And that is strike 3 on the outside corner. Brock Holt discards his equipment as we head to the bottom of the 8th. 4-1 Boston. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Now back in New York, where the Red Sox hold a 4-1 lead into the bottom of the 8th inning. Well, back in the 6th inning with the Red Sox trailing 1-0, Travis Shaw with a 2-run home run. For Shaw, his 12th home run of the year. Red Sox took a 2-1 lead at the end of the 7th inning with Swihart at first base. Jackie Bradley Jr. just over the wall in left field with a 2-run home run of his own, his 10th of the year. Gives the Red Sox the 4-1 advantage. And that's where we are here, headed into the bottom of the 8th inning. The pitcher for the Red Sox, 4th of the night, Matt Barnes, into the game. 30th appearance, 3-4 with a 5.67 earned run average. Carlos Beltran, first batter he faces. And Barnes falls behind 2-0. Noe Ramirez got the double play, facing one batter, Alex Rodriguez, to ground into that DP. Strike called, 2-2.
Different look that time. A changeup that followed 3 fastballs from Barnes.
Barnes threw 2 scoreless innings on Saturday against Baltimore. There's a ground ball into the shift. It's Bogarts on the right side for the first out here of the 8th inning. Well, tomorrow at 6:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. Adam Eck and Steve Lyons will preview Rick Porcello's start against the Yankees. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? 1 out in the 8th inning. Chase Headley, the batter. Headley takes strike 1. Single to left field in the 1st inning. Flied out to the warning track and left in the 3rd. Struck out swinging in the 5th. 4 runs, 8 hits, an error for Boston. A run, 8 hits, no errors for New York. Headley down on the count, 1-2.
And once again, the changeup from Barnes. He's thrown about 3 of them so far since coming into the game. A little bit of a split grip on that one right there, and it dips as it comes to home plate. Close, but just a little bit outside.
One hopper that is picked by Marrero. Throws out Headley for the second out of the 8th inning. Red Sox were in the shift, and the third baseman was left alone on the left side. So 2 down for Greg Bird. Bird tonight struck out swinging, singled to right, and then struck out swinging again. $39,476 here at the stadium tonight. 39,476 in the Bronx. 0-1 pitch. Off balance swing, 0-2. Fifth stint of the year for Barnes in the majors with the Red Sox. 7th appearance out of the pen since being recalled. Two and two. Red Sox have been shifting on all 3 batters this inning as this one fouled back to the screen.
Yeah, Bird all night long they've been shifting on, even when the left-hander was in the game, Rodriguez.
In the air to center field, sending Betts back, still going back towards the track. He'll get there to make the catch to end the 8th inning. We're headed for the 9th with the Red Sox on top 4-1. Season. For information about becoming a Red Sox season ticket holder, call 617-226-6888 or visit redsox.com/season tickets today.
A couple of real fine defensive plays by Jackie Bradley Jr. in the big left field here at Yankee Stadium. First going toward the scoreboard. The leap at the crash into the scoreboard, and then going the other way, the backhanded play. John Ryan Murphy actually thought he had a double on that play, but no, caught by Bradley Jr.
So to the ninth inning we go. Yankees move on to their fourth pitcher of the night. Caleb Cotham into the game. His 10th appearance, 1-0. The 5.40 earned run average, 11 Ks, only one walk. Alan Craig leading it off here in the ninth inning. Cotham taking over for Capuano, who faced two batters, struck them both out, getting Shaw and Holt. One-0. It's outside. 2-0. Gets a piece of the 94-mile-an-hour fastball and fouls it back. Robbie Ross Jr. getting ready in the pen for Boston. As it stands right now, a save situation. The 6th save of the year for Robbie Ross Jr. yesterday against the Orioles. Going inning, giving up a hit, had 2 Ks. Two-one pitch. Ground ball to third. Chase Headley throws out Craig for the first out of the ninth. So one out here in the ninth inning brings up Blake Swihart. Struck out in the second, grounded out in the fifth, singled and scored in the seventh. They're not shifting this time on Blake Swihart. They have been tonight, but not now. On the hook tonight, the Yankee starter, Ivan Nova. 7 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, including the 2 two-run home runs that he allowed. Walked 2, struck out 7. Devin Marrero waiting on deck. James Pazos and Nick Rumbelow in the pen. Inside out swing, and it's fouled off to the left out of play. Swihart with a single his last time up, came around to score on the 2-run home run by Jackie Bradley Jr. in the 7th. 1 for 3 night for the Red Sox catcher. For Bradley, his 10th home run of the year. Two and two. In the air to shallow right center field. Ellsbury coming in to make the catch for the second out. So 2 down here in the ninth inning. He'll bring up Devin Marrero. 0 for 3 night. He struck out, fouled out, and struck out again. And the start at third base for Boston tonight. Fly ball hit to right field, sending Beltran back onto the track at the wall. It's gone. Home run for Devin Marrero, his first. He will touch them all, and the Red Sox now take a 5-1 lead.
Now, Devin Marrero just found out how shallow it is out there in right field in this ballpark.
He threw the ball back, and he's going to get it back for his first Major League home run.
So kind of a tough night for him. A couple of strikeouts, a fly out, and then finally in his final at bat, hopefully his final at bat, the home run. Took a fastball that was up about letter high and moved it to the opposite field.
So the Red Sox, with their third home run of the night, have taken a 5-1 lead. The pitching change from Yankee Stadium. League home run, and the Red Sox with a 4-run advantage here, 2 outs in the top half of the 9th inning. New pitcher James Pezos into the game here, his 10th appearance. He's not given up a run in 4 innings. Walk and decay. Opponent sitting at 154 against Pezos. Jackie Bradley Jr. with the bases empty, 2 down. Shifting in the infield are the Yankees. And that one low and away for ball 1. In there for a strike, and it's 1-1. Bradley tonight with a walk. He is flying out to center. Last time up, the 2-run home run. One of 3 home runs tonight for Boston. Pezos making his Major League debut back on September the 5th in a loss against Tampa Bay. Began the season at Double-A Trenton. Strike call, 2-2.
Both strikes called in exactly the same spot. Both just a little bit outside, but call strikes. Second pitch and the 4th pitch.
Full count now to Bradley. Pezos didn't move up to Triple-A until June the 16th when he joined Scranton. Again, made his Major League debut on the 5th of September. Working here tonight with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Fouled off to the left, out of play. Three-two pitch is going to be ball 4. Headed off the mound there was Bezos, but it is ball 4.
I don't blame him. You know, he'd been getting that pitch in that particular bat against Jackie, but that time it was not called a strike, and here comes Girardi again.
So the pitching change here from Yankee Stadium with 2 outs in the 9th inning. 5-1 Boston. Top half of the 9th inning. Yankees moving on to their 3rd pitcher of the inning. As Nick Rumbelow into the game, his 17th appearance, 1-1 with a 4.11 earned run average. Well, it's hitting at .246 against Rumbelow. Comes in here to face Mookie Betts with a runner at first and 2 down. Bezos facing one batter was Bradley Jr. and he walked in. That's a line. This down the left field line, and this ball will one hop up into the seats. A ground rule double, so it'll be 2nd and 3rd now with 2 down, and that's the 2nd double of the night for Mookie Betts.
That's a shame that ball didn't stay in the ball box. That was another run for the Red Sox. With the Bradley running, he would have scored with no problem. Instead, the ball bounces up in the stands, and Mookie with a double back in the 1st inning, now a double here in the 9th. He turned around that fastball in a hurry, and it bounced up in the stands for the ground rule double.
2nd and 3rd now, 2 down, and Dustin Pedroia the batter. He'll take strike 1. 95 on the fastball from Rumbelow. One hopper to short. Gregorius plays the high hop and throws out Pedroia to end the inning. Red Sox strand a pair, but they get a run on the home run by Marrero. Boston on top 5-1. Marrero's first major league home run, one of the 3 home runs the Red Sox have in the game. And the new pitcher for the Red Sox, Robbie Ross Jr. into the game now in a non-save situation. The Red Sox picking up that additional run. His 53rd appearance, 3.99 earned run average. 6 out of 8 in save opportunities. Opponents hitting at .253 against Ross. John Ryan Murphy leading it off and taking a pitch up top for ball 1. He has singled, struck out, lined out to left. Ross falling behind 2-0. Takes over from Matt Barnes, who had a 1-2-3 8th inning. And Ross becomes the 5th Red Sox pitcher of the night. Fly ball to right field, down the line towards the pole and the corner, and it is going to be a fair ball off the wall. It gets by Holt. The second base goes Murphy, and a double to begin things here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Now, last time Murphy thought he had a double, but Jackie Bradley Jr. robbed him of a double. This time he does, as he slices it down toward that 314 marker in right field. Brock Holt chasing it down. It's going to get by him once it bounces off the wall right there, and the 2 bases for Murphy.
Didi Gregorius now with Murphy at second base. Nobody out here in the 9th. High for ball 1. Swihart headed out to talk to Ross here. Ross working yesterday, getting his 6th save of the year against Baltimore, going an inning. It had been his first appearance in the last 7 days, back on September the 21st against Tampa Bay. No runs allowed in 15 of his last 21 appearances. Foul back, and it's a ball and a strike. Held left-handed batters to 3 hits in their last 16 at bats at a 188 average. Going with the lefty here, Didi Gregorius. A little bit high, 2-1. John Ryan Murphy starts this inning with a double off the wall and right. 3-1. Ball 4, and he walks Gregorius. Last thing you want to do is walk anybody and put more men on.
Yeah, you've got a 4-run lead here in the 9th inning. Just throw the ball down the middle of the plate, let them get themselves out.
So 2 on, nobody out here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Rob Refsnyder coming up here for New York. Refsnyder has reached on a fielder's choice, single to left, and lined out to left. David Ortiz on the bench tonight. Down the left field line to get out ahead of this, a foul ball. Top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury waiting on deck. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 9th. In there for a strike this time, and it's 0-2. Came in, now 1 away and ahead here. Emergency swing there, 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and Refsnyder gets a piece.
2-strike approach that time, just trying to make contact. Maybe take it to the opposite field, but it goes foul.
One and two. Leadoff double by Murphy, the walk for Gregorius. First 2 Yankees have reached here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Two and two. Refsnyder grounds it foul. Two-two pitch from Ross. Refsnyder hits it on the ground left side to third. Marrero to second for one, on to first, and that won't be in time. They do get the middleman, though, here, and Gregorius at second base for the first out of the 9th.
Just make sure you get one out, and that's exactly what Marrero did there. Pedroia was kind of on the run as he got to the batting second. Couldn't get much on the throw to first base. The off-balance throw going backwards toward the outfield, and not much on it, and Refsnyder beats it out.
First and third, one down. Jacoby Ellsbury, the batter. Ellsbury with a double in the first, walked in the second, grounded back to the mound in the fourth, lined out to center in the 7th. Here he is in the 9th. Takes the strike, and it's 1-1. 94 on the fastball that time from Robbie Ross. In the air, foul, and Ross gets ahead of Ellsbury here, 1-2. Brett Gardner on deck. The Yankees batting here in the bottom of the ninth. Ellsbury, it's a fly ball to left field. Bradley Jr. settles underneath, and he'll make the catch. No throw here. He'll fire now. He'll throw it in, and it's cut off. And not taken off from third was Murphy, and there are 2 outs in the ninth.
At no point in tagging up at third base there. I mean, you got a chance of being doubled up at home plate. You're down by 4 runs. You've got to just try to draw the throw. That's it. And Bradley didn't bite into that throw either. He just he held on to it, and then made the throw in when he realized the runner was not tagging and going.
Two down in the ninth, first and third. Runner takes off at first. There's a strike to Gardner. Defensive indifference gets Ref Snyder to second base. Gardner tonight has sacrifice bunt, reached on an error committed by Pedroia at second base, fly to right, and had a bunt single in the 7th inning. Gardner fouling it off to the left, down 0-2. Ross trying to finish off the Yankees here in the 9th inning with 2 down in the inning. Runners at second and third. 0-2 to Gardner. Fouled back. Fastball right down the middle.
Swihart calling for that fastball inside, but it was left down the middle, and Gardner able to foul it off.
Alex Rodriguez waiting on deck. He has driven in the only Yankees run on the night, a sac fly back in the first inning. 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and the Red Sox win. Yeah, Robbie Ross strikes out Brett Gardner to end the ball game, and the Red Sox win it 5-1 tonight. Take game 1 of this 4-game series against the Yankees in impressive fashion tonight. A 3-home run attack for the Red Sox tonight. Let's take a look at the Toyota play of the game. The Yankees had the bases loaded on top 1-0 in the second inning, but Eduardo Rodriguez able to strike out Alex Rodriguez. Yankees left them loaded, and then the Red Sox just took off with the 3 home runs and the 5 unanswered runs as they win it 5-1. We'll step aside and come back with more from Yankee Stadium after this.